All right, howdy folks. Today we are going to make this part here in Fusion 360. Made a few corrections here. This should be 3.5. The hole should be 1/2 inch diameter, but here are the dimensions of the part. And so at the end of today, we're going to have something that looks like this. This is what we're going to do. So let's get started. I will try to go at a comfortable pace, going through all the instructions. So this is Fusion 360. We're going to start off, as we always do, by making a new component, except I'm skipping that step for today because just simplicity. But you really should start by making a new component. In fact, why don't I go ahead and do that? So I'm going to right click over here, go to new component. I'm going to call this a bracket. So here is our new component. That's really what we should do. So next thing we do is we start with a sketch. I pick a plane to be in. I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to go with this XY plane right here. And in that XY plane, we are going to build ourselves a square. Now, I just noticed that I had forgotten to set the dimensions to inches. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's set our dimensions to inches. Now we're good. Probably, let's do this. Let's see if this helps out. Remember, this is what we are aiming for. So I'm going to make a small version of this right here because these are the plans that we are working off of right here. Right, that's what we're trying to aim for. So we are noticing that this is 4 inches. This is 4 inches right here. 4 inches by 4 inches. That's what we're trying to go for. So let's go ahead. We're going to come back over to here, use the dimension tool, and say, and I click, I drag out, I click here, 4, enter. I click, I drag out, I click, 4 inches. Boom. So you'll notice now we have our 4 by 4. We have our 4 by 4 square. So we now finish our sketch. We notice that the sketch is in our timeline. If we ever want to go back to this and edit any dimensions, we can go back and edit it, and I can come back in and change the dimensions. So now we need to know what is the thickness. So now we just have a flat plate. What is the thickness that we need to extrude this to? So if I go back to the plans right here, we'll notice the thickness is 1/4 inch. So I'm going to hit extrude, click here, and I want to tell this thing that I hit extrude. Yep, I want to tell this thing that I want to be 1/4 inch. Cool. We got a 1/4 inch base plate. So I'm going to right click on. So the next thing, let's go back to look at the plans, is I'm going to build this. I am going to build the upright section of this. So I want to build this part right here. And we notice it is 3/8 of an inch thick, and it's 3.5 inches from top to bottom. Now we already have a 1/4 inch plate, so we're going to have to deal with that in a moment. But before we do that, let me come back here. Right click on this, create sketch. I went on this bottom place. I am going to create a rectangle. Notice I'm being very careful. Notice how it's changing shape. I'm clicking there from corner to edge. I don't care that it's the right thickness yet, because I'm going to come back with the dimension tool, D, select from there to there, and I want to say that this is going to be 3/8 of an inch thick. So I have now a 3/8 of an inch rectangle, and if I finish the sketch here, I have a 3/8 rectangle on the bottom of this plate. So again, we hit the extrude key. We can choose which part we extrude. I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to make it come up. Now, we already have a 1/4 inch thickness here. That means this is going to need to be 3 1/4. So the total dimensions is 3.5. So it's 3.5, 3 1/4 plus 3 1/4 is 3.5. So we're going to say 3.25. Boom. And we have an L-shaped bracket. All right. So now the next part let's work on is, let's go ahead and add in, we got the triangle bracing piece here in the back, and we have the holes, okay? So we're gonna need to add in those holes. So let me go do that. And remember, we want to put the holes on this faceplate right here. So as always, I'm gonna right click and create sketch, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and give myself, there's lots of ways to do this. I can use constraints or I can use layout lines. Probably the use of constraints is better, but visually I think using a layout line makes a touch more sense. So just for the learning purposes, I'm going to use the layout line today. So I'm going to hit L for line, and I'm going to draw a line. All I'm caring about is that the line is perpendicular down. So the line needs to be perpendicular down. You notice that right there at the bottom, you can see the perpendicular thing. So I have a perpendicular line. I have that perpendicular constraint indicated here. Next thing I want to do is, and I should have done this beforehand, is I want to select that line and hit X so that this becomes a layout line or a construction line and not actually something real that separates that plane into two halves. Let's set the dimensions of this correctly. So we're going to hit D from here to here. And this, let's go check the diagram. This is going to be, zoom in over here so we can see what we're doing. This is going to be 5/8 of an inch in. So let's go ahead, come here, type 5/8 of an inch. We're good. Now, we need to put two circles on this. So I'm going to hit circle, boom, boom. Now, I deliberately made these circles not the same size because I want to link the sizes of these two circles together, okay? And if I wanted to, we'll get to that in a second. So let's do that first. So hit escape a few times. So now I have the mouse. I'm going to select the circle. I'm going to come up here to the equal sign, and I say it's going to be equal to that circle. Now my two circles are the same size. So if I take one of these circles and, if I take one of these circles and I resize it, you notice that their sizes are linked together. But we're not in an art class. We're not going to try to estimate the size of these things. We're going to set it. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the dimension tool. Click the size of the circle. Let's bring my dimensions out here where it's pretty. And these are 1/2 inch diameter circles. Okay. So again, 1/2 inch diameter circle, 3/4 an inch out. So the only thing I have left to do is to set the dimensions of this and this. So let me check those dimensions real quick. So I'm 1 inch from the plate and 1 inch, 5/8 of an inch from the bottom. So again, D key from the circle to here, and that is going to be 5/8 of an inch. D key from here to here, and that's going to be 1 inch. Cool. So at this point in time, I could easily go take what I've done on the right-hand side and duplicate it back to the left-hand side. Wouldn't it be that hard to do? Okay, but we're going to take an advantage of the fact that we can mirror parts. There's symmetry. Again, let's look at the design. That there is symmetry in the design. That what's on the left-hand side is symmetrical to the right-hand side. To do symmetry, you need a line of symmetry, or to mirror about. So again, I'm going to hit the L key, and this time, let's escape out. Oh, click here. Hit the L key. There we go. Now notice as I run along this line, at some point you see a triangle show up. That triangle tells me I'm the halfway point, the midpoint. If I run it straight down, I have a line that is halfway through. Again, if I select that line and hit X, it has now become a layout line. So I can come up and I can search for mirror, or it's up here in the corner. And I want the mirroring that is open because I'm in a sketch. So mirroring is now asking me two separate questions. Which objects would you like to mirror, and what line would you like to mirror around? So I'm going to mirror that one and that one. Be careful. Do not select the dot. You want to select the circle. Now you say, where do you want to mirror around? I want to mirror on, oops. Notice it got selected. Let's try that again. So I'm going to hit select, mirror, mirror, and then I'm going to select that line, and then mirrored. And I can now hit OK. The advantage of this is what if I want to change the size of the circle? So if I change the size, all the circles got bigger. What if I want to change this dimension? They all change. Everything is related. Only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up just a little bit to make it a little bit neat, and then I'm going to say we're done. Now, there are many ways to make holes. In fact, I could use the hole tool. I could use the hole tool. But that's not what I'm going to do today. Today, I'm just going to hit extrude, and I'm going to select all my holes. And then instead of joining them like this, I'm going to cut. I can get fancy and I can cut all the way through, or I can just pull them way exaggerated over to the other side. I can pull way exaggerated all the way through and it will still work. Or I can say cut all the way through, and now give it a chance that we have the holes. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to build this little brace gusset feature that we see here in the middle, okay? And this is going to be a 1/4 inch thick piece. It's going to come out 2 inches. It's going to be a triangle from top to bottom. So, as always, let's start a new sketch. Create a sketch on that surface. I want to do a search rectangle. So I'm going to do a rectangle. Let's do a 2-point rectangle. I want to make sure, again, I'm making sure that I'm starting on the line and I got a rectangle. Is it in the right place? No. Is it the right size? No. Are we going to fix that with the dimensional tool? Yes. This is how we do these things. All right. So dimensional tool. Click here. Pull this out so my dimensions are somewhere in space. 0.25, 1/4 inch. Dimension tool. Click here. Pull it out of space. What is this going to be? Well, this is 2 inches. All right. Cool. Now, how do I know this is in the center? Well, again, like always, there's lots of ways to do it, but I want to drag a line from here to here and set the dimension. I want to go from a dimension from here all the way over to here, and I want to make sure this is the right dimension. I know that this is a 4-inch piece, and that's a 1/4 inch thick. So if I say 4 minus 1/4, that's the length on either side of this piece is going to be. And then if I cut that in half, well, that's going to be this dimension right here. Did I have to do the math? No. Can it do the math for me and just type it in? Absolutely. Boom. Oh, I must have gotten lucky, and I put that in the right spot. All right, we're almost home. All right, so again, examine my sketch. Looks like I have all the right components. Everything is labeled nicely. Finish sketch. Hit extrude. Click here. Now, we know that we're going to pull it up, but how do I want to get it in the right spot? Well, again, I can come over here. Instead of going to a distance, I can go to object. And I can select the top face here, and you'll notice it will come up to that height. Very, very useful. In fact, if I were to resize the back of this piece, it would still work. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done with this bracket. It's starting to look like something. So I want to cut this down. So again, right click on the face, create sketch. Use the line tool again. I'm going to go from, notice, from corner all the way up to corner. That's all I got to do here. Finish the sketch. Hit extrude, click this, but this time I'm going to just go bye, bye, bye. Just make it go all the way. We're good. Boom. All right. This is looking nice. This is looking nice. So all I have left to do now is put a chamfer on this. Right? All I want left to do is put a chamfer on this. So I want to select the edges that I want to chamfer. Gotta be careful, just coming around. Selecting all the edges that I want to chamfer. Let's put a 1/16 of an inch chamfer on this. Hit enter. Take a look at it. That's good. So all we have to do now is save our piece. And then we're going to go to File, Export. We're going to put our initials in this so I know where to grade it. tell me what it is, and we need to have it export to some place. Let's just export to my desktop, save it, and then once we hit export, it will be ready for you to turn in. Hopefully this is useful. You can go back to this video, pause, rewatch I do anything, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below.